Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Ay, still not understanding. Sociology is the study of why people act the way they act. Communication is why half of y'all, get into unnecessary arguments. Yeah. Okay. Like for real. People, we don't have communication skills. This is why we're failing to come across how we want to come across. Welcome to season 3. This season is Glow Up University. Glow Up University. Here at Glow U, I will make sure that you, yes you, are on your P's and Q's. We will not fall into seasonal depression. Okay? Not on my watch. The mission statement is, this podcast is here to uplift, encourage, and support all people to create and build a community surrounding their goals, discover new talents, and learn new life skills. Welcome to Glow Up University. Go Glow You. Period, point blank. Welcome to Sis Hear Me Out, the podcast. My name is Sterling, aka Big Sis, aka Professor Sterling. You can find me on all platforms at Sterling_TV. Welcome to the show where we're doing it and we're doing it big. Yes, guys. Welcome, students, to Glow Up University Season 3. Welcome to Sociology and Communications. This class specifically is Social Cues 101. We're going to be talking about reading the room while glowing up. I just want to introduce this course to you and let you know that, look, I feel like a huge part of glowing up is learning social cues, because it's how you are, or at least for people who are like wondering what they look like in public, that is a huge thing. If you want to carry yourself a different way than what you're doing now, social cues is a huge way is a really good thing to learn. I feel like that can help shape who you want to become and stuff like that. Sociology. Sociology is the study of why people act the way they act. Communication is why half of y'all, get into unnecessary arguments. Yeah. Okay. Like for real. People, we don't have communication skills. This is why we're failing to come across how we want to come across, how we get into like I said, these unnecessary arguments. Through this course, you will figure out how to talk and communicate, and also peep certain things. Like, okay, that person said it this way. Let me move around, or things like that. Just navigating conversation. Okay. So, why sociology matters to your glow up? Let me tell you why. Okay. And we're going to get the whiteboard out for this one. Okay, so we're gonna write down, sorry if that messed up, but we're gonna write down some things for you guys to just visualize it. Okay, so we got our pink pen. Maybe we should do it this way. Or no, we'll do it this way. Why social matters. Okay, why does sociology matters? Like, why does it matter? Like, why should I care how I sound, how I move around, how conversations go? Well, let me tell you why. Sociology patterns equal why you date the same type person. Okay. When you don't recognize your social patterns, this is why you end up in the same position or the same situations. It's because you're not understanding how you are coming across and how you are leaning into people. You know what I mean? Like, another thing is sociology is important because it's why workplace drama repeats. It's why workplace drama repeats. You're not paying attention to how you're coming across, so you keep getting the same results, right? Another one, over explaining. You start to over explain for no reason. Sometimes you don't have to. If you communicate better, you don't have to over explain. It leads you to shrink yourself. because you're not understanding how you could come across. And when people, they tell you like you don't know, or basically like you're mean to me or you're this or you're that, then you end up shrinking yourself instead of understanding how you could be better, right? So it's important to understand your social interactions. Okay. Another thing is that um society shapes communication. So once you society shapes communication, communication shapes relationships, and relationships shape your mental health and healing journey. And that's what we all want to get into it, because once you start healing, you start glowing up, right? And that's the whole point of Glow Up University. So look, we have to start at society. Once you understand your surroundings, you will then understand how to communicate. And once you understand how to communicate, then that will shape every relationship that you walk into, which will be better. Don't you want better for yourself? Yes. Yes. Everybody say yes. Yes. Okay. Great job. Great job. So, our whole point on Glow Up University is to heal from traumas that we've been through, from relationships, things that we think about on a daily, little awkward situations that happen that we think about. Yeah, like that one time you tripped, or that one time you stuttered in front of that boy, or one time, we have to heal from those things because those things affect us. Don't lie, because I know it does. Okay, I know it does. So now we're going to move on. So, what are social cues? There's verbal cues, there's nonverbal cues, and there's emotional cues, and then there's situational. Okay, so we have four. What are social cues? We have verbal, nonverbal, emotional, situational. And I'm going to explain a little bit with each of them, right? So for verbal, we're thinking tone, pacing, attitude. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? For nonverbal, it's eye contact, body language, posture. For example, how would you feel if you're talking to somebody and they're like, how would you feel talking to somebody and they're like, you're going to feel engaged in one, and then one you're going to feel like they're dissociated, like they're not paying attention, right? So nonverbal is just as important as verbal. It might be even more important to me, at least, because eye contact is everything, So emotional cues is someone's energy. You feel energy. Like when you go around someone and you're like, okay, something's off, that's a huge thing to know. Tension, defensiveness. If you're like, hey, you really hurt my feelings, and they're like, well, you hurt my feelings, that is an emotional cue, that someone's being defensive, right? And then there's situational cues where you just read the room, okay? Read the room, sis, please. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can see that obviously there's like, for example, you can tell somebody just got in an argument right in a room, and you come in there and you're like, hey, what's up, y'all? Like, you didn't spend time to sit and look around, assess the situation before you were all hyped as everybody else is all tense, right? And that could either be a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe you can hype up the morale, or that could be like, girl, you're not understanding what's going on. So it's really important to these down. Okay. The verbal, the nonverbal, the emotional, and the situational. Okay. So, another example, like, we'll do some more examples for verbal. You're telling them a situation and they're like, cool. What? Wow. Crazy. You can tell they don't care. Like, you can tell they don't care, And that's when you need to pull back. Okay. Or you need to be like, just leave that conversation. Actually, no, just leave that conversation. Don't even ask why. Just leave that conversation. Let them realize how they're coming across, right? Another one is if a coworker is typing aggressively, you're not going to go over them and be like, "Hey, I just want to ask a question." Obviously, right now they're typing aggressively, they're in some type of emotion. You need to pull back, okay? Don't go over there and be like, "Hey, I need help." No, you need to pull back, sit your ass down. Okay? Yeah. Another one, the man ain't, you know, matching your communication, it's time to exit. Okay. He got an F. He got an F on in our class. Okay, he got an F in our class, and you're trying to get an A in our class, right? So you don't match energy. What you do is you do better than them. Okay, that's what we're doing here. So next, how does communication impact glow up, right? So we're just going to tie it all together. Like, how does communication tie to what we're getting our degree in? Okay, which is glowing up. And glow ups require social awareness. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. Okay. Hold on, let me write that down. So glow ups require social awareness. Healing requires communication, right? Remember these two things. Glow ups require social awareness, and healing requires communication. And when it comes to glow ups requiring social awareness, you got to think, if you want to glow up, usually people work on their outer appearance first, right? You have to understand outer appearance is not just physical body, it is communication, posture, everything, you know? So in order to glow up, you have to be socially aware of everything. Okay. And I know it sounds exhausted, but once you get it down, you're going to be so T. That's where we're trying to get. We're trying to get to somewhere where we're proud of ourselves, where we're like, wow, look at me glow up. Okay. Like I'm telling you, like, this is something to be excited about. You know who you want to be, you know, and healing requires communication. Everyone knows that. When you are sitting here talking through your problems, journaling through your problems, you are communicating your feelings inwardly, outwardly. That is going to get you to where you need to be, because you then see where your head is and your emotions are, right? For example, for me, I have to talk about, especially a situation that's crazy to me or that hurt my feelings. I have to talk about it like 10 times before I get over it. Like, I have to talk about it 10 times because I just feel like every single time I get it out, I'm like, oh, and then this, and then this, and then this. And after that 10th time, I'm like, okay. Like, I then regulated my emotions. I'm able to talk out what happened to me and why I feel like that. To me, communication is a huge part of healing, and I recommend everyone to do so. If you don't have a therapist, get one. If you don't have the money to get a therapist, get a journal, get something where you can constantly communicate. Most people can't trust people, right? That's fine. If you need to talk about something, hit me up. I will love to talk about whatever you need to talk about, whether that's DV, whether that's someone just like you tripped in front of your, I don't know, like a boss or something, and you feel like that's ruining your chances. Like anything you want to talk about, feel free to message me if you don't feel like you have a friend. And if you don't want to talk to me, get a journal. I will be coming out with journals because I write in them so much that I recommend them to everyone. So feel free to get a journal, write your issues out, write it all down. I'm telling you, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better. If it's not a whole bunch, it's going to be a little bit, and a little bit is closer to healing. That's where we're trying to get. Okay? Come on, guys, we can do it. Okay, we can do it. And we want to also focus on our career. I'm definitely saying that wrong. Our career glow up. Okay, that's a huge thing we want to focus on. I wrote that too. Lately, at least for me, as an example, like a career girl, like we're trying to do specifically for me. This is definitely a portion for me. Okay, but hopefully you guys can learn from this. For example, a career glow up. Right? I noticed that knowing when to speak up, knowing when to observe, and knowing how to read people is like workplace power. Okay. You see where people's strengths and weaknesses are. And that's a huge, huge thing when it comes to workplace power. That's something that I'm trying to gain right now is workplace power. You need to know, like I said, when to speak, when to observe, and when to or how to read people. Okay? When to speak, how to or know when to speak, know when to observe, and know how to read people. Okay. This is what's going to change your career glow up. And I'm talking to myself too, okay? I'm talking to myself too. For example, I've been struggling with my 9 to 5, and it's been disappointing lately with like some of my supervisors, and me feeling like there's some micro aggressions, and I'm learning how to navigate that and recognizing when someone's passive, and also reading someone or wants to sabotage. You know what I mean? So just seeing some, like, it's been a huge thing for me, just trying to navigate those things as a Black woman in the workplace. It's really hard. Sometimes you don't know when people are your friend, or if they really care about you, or if they want to see you go far in this company. And so you have to learn work in order to be where you want to be. Okay. So, like I said before, you learn how to speak, you learn to observe, you learn how to read people. That's going to be the huge, huge thing. By learning this, you'll learn how to navigate micro aggressions, passivity between coworkers, when somebody's aggressive, when somebody's playing you. You'll learn exactly who to tell like certain things too in the workplace, because some people talk too much, and then some people really like are like there for you. And so I challenge you to get into that workplace power section of this episode, so you can really, especially if you're a 9 to 5 girly like me, this will definitely change your career path. Because some people are like me, where I feel like I need to speak up whenever I feel something. And in the workplace, that's not always the best move. You have to be really careful, because these corporations, they'll get you. You I definitely, definitely recommend learning, like I said, when to speak, when to observe, and how to read people. So next, we're gonna talk about applying social cues in real life. Okay? And that's gonna be fun, because I do this often. I do this often. Okay? So we're gonna call this section real life. And we're gonna speak on dating, friendships. We're gonna speak on parenting slash just single mom life, and healing journey. Okay. So these are real life. So this section is called real life social cues. We're gonna speak about dating, friendships, parenting slash single mom life, and healing journey. Okay. So I'm gonna set this up right here, because I wrote some things down. Sorry, my brushes are right there. Gotta brush the way. Perfect. Okay, so I have my phone, because I'm gonna make sure that I get everything in there. So for dating, catching inconsistency early is a huge social cue, because you're going to pay attention to if they're acting, if they're using more verbal instead of nonverbal, or if they're using more emotional than situational. So you're going to notice how their tone shift, like when you, like, for example, when I brought up my man's ex, like, was he a little bit more aggressive with me, or was he very cool and laid back? When I bring up another man in a conversation, is he more like ready to fight, or is he more like sit back or not even care? Like, those are huge things to watch out for. Or even when they're talking, like, are you engaged? Like, do you feel like you want to hear them? Or are you like, shut up? Like, you know what I mean? Those little things, you got to pay attention to yourself, and then, pay attention to the, I'm busy patterns. Is it on important days that you, like, for example, your birthday? I've had a friend where she said every single time her birthday comes around, her man wants to act up. Those things you pay attention to. Like, do they really like me? You know what I mean? Get rid of them. Say bye, sayonara. Your friends even, or we'll go to that. I'm jumping ahead for sure. Emotional unavailability shows up in cues first, and it does. Like, you can see when someone is just not, like, you can just tell when there's tension, like, you feel it. And pay attention to those feelings. Pay attention to your stomach, if they get those butterflies, or if they don't, if you get a knot in your throat. Like, pay attention to those emotional cues first. That's going to show you everything. Okay. When it comes to friendships, are they listening or wanting to talk? Okay. Are they listening to listen, or they're listening to talk? That's a huge thing. Okay. And if you're looking for true friends, you have to pay attention to specifically that one because your story is what binds you and your friend. Are their facial expressions supportive or do they seem annoyed? No? Like, are they like, those are huge things to pay attention to. Listen to your professor. I'm trying to tell you. Okay. I'm trying to tell you. Also, if you haven't yet and you're this far in the episode, please go ahead and subscribe. Okay. Subscribe, hit me up, comment under this video. This is for you. I want to help you blow up. Okay. So be a part of the Sterling family and become a sibling and we can get this rocking and rolling, okay? Period. Okay, so moving on. Do they celebrate you or go silent? Okay, because that's a huge thing. Like, for example, I just hit a K views on Instagram, which is a huge accomplishment for me. I have been wanting to be seen in social media and I posted it. And, as much as this sounds petty, I feel like it isn't. You watch the people who are in your views and they're not liking it. They're not excited for you. You and the people that are liking it, celebrating you, like, go Taji, like, go Sterling. Those are the people you pay attention to because they care for you. They see what you're trying to do. Because you do the same with your homegirl or your homeboy. If they have a new album or a new single coming out, do you feel like you're being their friend by not liking it or reposting it? Like, truly, do you feel like you're being their friend? And for me, I know that every single time my friends have an accomplishment, they graduate, they anything like that, I am hyping them up because they deserve that as your friend. You expect your friends to do that, to be there for you. So pay attention to the ones that celebrate you and pay attention to the ones that go silent. There it is for friendships, for parenting, especially the single mom life. Are you paying attention to your kids when they get overwhelmed? For example, I can tell when my boys are getting overwhelmed, for specifically Sakani. He'll start stumping. I'm like, boy, what's the matter? Talk about it. What do you need? What do you feel like you're getting mad about? Like, what's up? Instead of he's stumping and I'm like, boy, anyway, and going back to my phone. You have to pay attention to those social cues even in kids because as a single mom, I'm trying to raise these boys that have all this testosterone that I'm now trying to help them control. That's not something that I've ever experienced because my hormones are different. So I'm trying to watch them to see when they get overwhelmed or see when they get frustrated or see when I get angry so I can correct behavior. I can help them. I can show them that I'm loving. Teaching kids communication early makes a generational come up or makes a generational glow up. I want my kids to be so emotionally intelligent that they're able to teach their kids how to be emotionally stable, which means that eventually it falls down the line and we're going to have a wonderful mindset, wonderful thinking skills, like social cues. We're going to be so emotionally intelligent that we're able to navigate a whole entire room. That's what I want for my family. And that's what you should want for your family and yourself. You know what I mean? Break those generational curses and teach them how to communicate. Especially I'm talking to the single moms out there or people who are planning to be moms. Teach your kids how to communicate. Not only to you, and it helps not only you them grow, it helps you grow as a mom. It helps everybody be better. Okay. Next is your healing journey. Okay. Your healing journey. Your healing journey. You recognize your own cues when you're shutting down, when you feel anxious, when you're overthinking, when you feel tired, when you feel happy, even. Like, know yourself. Know yourself so then you can help others, right? Like, you're like, for example, an extrovert, introvert, right? If you're an introvert, when you go out there in the world and you're hanging out in a crowd and you're all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is a lot. You then can know how to navigate that conversation with people like, hey guys, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I'm just going to step back so that way I don't ruin the vibe or whatever, right? Those things are super important to know. when your battery runs out, how to speak to people. That way you're not coming off aggressive, rude, mean. You want to heal within. It's very, 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 very important. Okay. Let me give you some communication hacks. Okay. So here's what we're doing. Okay. I wrote these down also. Hold on. I should write this down. So some communication hacks that we're gonna talk about is pause before you react. Pause before you react. Okay. That is a huge thing. Read all the social cues. The four ones that we talked about earlier. Read all of them before jumping in. Okay. That will help you in a lot of conversations. Okay. Second one, ask clarifying questions. Help me understand what you mean by that. Okay. Can you help me navigate or like explain to me what you meant? Or can you go into detail with your statement? Like little things like that, I feel like is huge. Or how do you feel right now? Should I come back later? Is this a good time? Like really good clarifying questions will help situations, I'm telling you. Okay. Match energy, but don't chase it. Okay. Like if someone's dry, you don't water dead soil. Okay. You don't water dead soil at all. Like it just doesn't. What is that going to do for you? It's not going to do nothing. You can't grow out of that. You just can't. So if it's good soil, then okay, like pouring because you're matching the energy. They're ready for it and you're ready to pour. You have to see when somebody's willing or ready to receive something from you. That's a social cue you have to learn, right? Because if they're not ready, it's not the time to say it. It's never going to be come off how you want it to come off, if that makes sense. Okay. Another one is practice intentional tone. Glow up your communication by calm, clear, confident sounding. Like, hey, this really hurt my feelings. Instead of being like, I don't know, like you just be doing too much and I can't handle that. Like, doesn't that sound a little bit more crazy than, you really hurt my feelings and I feel like let's try to work on that. Like, which one sounds better? Like, which one you're going to want to listen to? You're not going to want to listen to the first one for sure. The second one, you'll be a little bit more open, right? So that's huge to practice intentional tone, right? Use the power of silence. Silence is also a social cue. People don't realize that. Okay? Silence is a social cue. Like, lock that in. It shows boundaries. Okay. When you're sitting here and you're like somebody's yelling at you, right? They're yelling. They're like, oh my God, I hate you. You guys suck. Right? And you're sitting here like this. And remember, it's not just silence too, it's also posture. Like they're gonna realize how ridiculous they look because they realize you're setting the boundary of I'm not yelling. You know what I mean? Or we're not gonna be yelling across. We can have a simple conversation. And if you want to yell, I will be silent or I'll walk away. Come on, guys. We don't always have to we can be silent too. What did Oh my God, Jill Scott said, maybe we can just be silent. Okay, like she ate that up because from her, silence is also a social thing. Okay, so homework. Okay, we're just gonna close this out. Homework. Okay, I'm gonna put it up. Homework. Homework. Observe 3 social encounters today. Okay. So your homework is to observe 3 social encounters today. Okay. Your homework is to observe 3 social encounters today. Okay. I want you to think about the cues that you noticed, how the person reacted, how you responded, and how you could improve communication next time. Okay. I need you guys to do that. Again, I'm going to say the cues you noticed, how the person reacted, how you responded, and how you could improve the communication next time. Okay. That's your homework. DM me when you're done with your homeworks. If you want to write it down, write it down. That's just what we're going to do. Okay? We're going to lock in. We're going to lock in and we're going to be better for Glow Up University, okay? So you can get your diploma. You got to graduate, okay? And so I just want to end it off with saying class is dismissed. Don't be out here failing social Q 101, okay? Because I already taught you the game. I already taught you the game, and you need to listen to your professor, okay? I love you guys. And like I say every single time, we are doing it and we're doing it big. We are glowing up. Do you hear me? We are glowing up. And not only you, it is me. Okay? Thank you guys. Love you. Oh, sorry. It's going to go so cute. Okay. Period, point blank. Welcome to Sis Hear Me Out, the podcast. Or actually, period, point blank. Welcome to Sis Hear Me Out. Welcome to social cues. Welcome to sociology and communications. We are going to specify, okay? We're going to move these out of the way. What are social cues? Cues. You're telling them a situation and they're like,
High volume. Am I really that?